Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be walking you through the BMW N52 junction box electronics which sits underneath the manifold. If many of you have ever removed your manifold on your BMW N52, you'll notice there's a plastic junction box which is actually connected to your manifold that sits on brackets. Now when you go there and start removing all the plugs, all the connectors, many of you don't know how they all go back. This is a question I get a lot, especially on my manifold video I did 2 years ago. People come in there asking what plug goes to what, their car is running like crap and they don't know what to do and they don't know what plug goes to what because they've probably mixed up all the plugs, which is very, very easily doable, especially when the manifold's off, because many people don't know where they go back, especially on the 328 or 528 XIs where they have the blanks for the dissers. Many people start looking where they're meant to go. So I'm going to be explaining to you and showing you what plug goes to what and how you can tell what plug is what and how to not get them mixed up on your M52. So let's get on to the video.
What? Goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo! When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you know.
Okay guys, so you'll see down here, this is our junction box right here. Now, I did explain to you a couple of the connectors on the previous video when we removed the manifold, but I haven't told you any of the others. So, right here, we've got front disser and we've got a MAF sensor. So them two are separate. Over here, we've got PCV heater and our other disser, which goes to the back of the manifold. Right here is our alternator cable as well, which connects to the junction box. That is our throttle body cable. Right here, we've got for our map sensor. On the back here, we've got our PCV, which is the electrical circuit to actually heat up the PCV heater itself, which is right here. That runs off the junction box into the actual CCV system on that side. We've also got here other connectors as well. So we've got this connector right here, which is our crankshaft sensor. If you can see, that's a bit broken off from someone else doing it, so we need to be careful with that. So that's back in there as well. So that's our crankshaft sensor, which sits down there as well, which sits just under the starter motor. We've also got our knock sensors, which detect engine knocking. And then we've also got our starter solenoid cable, which is right here. Now, this starter solenoid takes power from the junction box, which is right here, and it powers the starter solenoid on the starter. Now, what this is used for is one, for the EWS system, but also your CAS module for your start-stop. So what ends up happening with this is many of you all come to me with no crank, no start on your N52. This cable can become brittle from heat, which is underneath here, obviously. Bearing in mind it's magnesium, so this engine can get very, very hot. Bearing in mind it's plastic. This can break down and it can damage the wires inside this starter solenoid plug right here. If you can see, it takes power from here, the junction box, and goes to the solenoid. In turn, when you press the start-stop button, it will deliver the current needed to the starter solenoid to turn over the car. And that also helps with an aid for your car being stolen, because this is what stops your car being stolen, having a starter solenoid on there, because the CAS sends the signal to that to actually start the car. But also it helps with diagnostics, live diagnostics. If your starter motor goes bad, you'll be able to detect it and throw a code on the CAS that it's got a starter operation code, just like this one did when the starter motor actually failed. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is in the US, a lot of mice like to get up here. As you can see, there's been a lot of crap down here as well before I actually bought it. And they all end up chewing this one main cable. Why is that? This cable right here likes to always be hot because it runs from the starter. So this is where they go and live here underneath the starter. This is the most common cable they'll end up chewing, which this cable runs from here to the actual junction box itself, which actually powers everything. Now, when they actually chew this wire, what will happen? You'll end up with no crank, no start, and your car not starting. This cable is actually responsible for that. So if you are having problems with your crank and start issues, I would check this cable right here. A lot of you get this one mixed up as well with the EVAP plug, which sits just down here, which if I can find it, which this one sits here as well. You've got the EVAP one. It's very easy to get mixed up. You can see here, they're both the same and they both can plug on as well. So do be aware of that. You can mix them up very, very easily. That's why it's best to leave the EVAP one down here hidden out the way. So this is what the junction box obviously feeds, and it feeds all the electronics on the manifold, and obviously the electronics to the starter and anything underneath the manifold itself. You can see this big distribution power plug which goes to that junction box, which is coming from the fuse box, which is coming from the actual car. This one right here goes to that junction box, and that's what's powering all of this. So obviously everything's separated in here for the starter, for all the electronics, for the DME, for the dissers, and all your CCV heaters, your alternator, your throttle body, everything is there coming and being powered. As I said, this connector is one of the most overlooked connectors. A lot of people do get them mixed up. A lot of people don't re-put them back in, or a lot of people just end up with them being chewed by mice, don't understand why their car ain't cranking or starting, and they always overlook this cable. Therefore, if you do have that issue, I do recommend remove your manifold, come down here and check this one simple cable on your N52. As I said, the plugs are very, very straightforward, and if you are new, it will take you a bit of time to understand where they go. But hopefully this video should help you and guide you on how to put your plugs back on your manifold. Just remember, if you do have a 328 or 528, you won't have these plugs like this going into the dissers, so therefore just ignore these ones. But if you do have a 330 XI 330i with the silver magnesium cover, you will have these plugs which do go to your dissers behind and in front, so do remember that. Okay guys, so there you have it. I've now shown you the BMW N52 junction box electronics which sits underneath the manifold. So I hope this is going to give a lot of you more confidence to actually remove your manifold, knowing you've got this video to relate to know where the plugs go back when you put your manifold back on, without the need of getting them mixed up. And if you do get them mixed up, of course, I'm here in the comments and obviously on my Instagram to help you. You can obviously send me photos on there and let me help you, guide you to put the plugs back the correct way, because many of you won't have the dissers. You'll have the plugs there, but they'll be blanked off. Many of you don't realize that. Many people, when you've just bought your 328 XI, these people don't reblank the plugs, or they've tried to put a 3-stage manifold on, didn't work, removed it and didn't reblank the plug. So you guys are probably thinking, why have you got 2 plugs hanging in your engine bay? But also, I hope it's actually going to guide you as well. If you have no crank, no start on your N52, you've seen there the starter solenoid cable, which can easily be chewed by mice, and obviously it can be destroyed by heat as well in the engine bay, because it literally sits on the engine block just with that insulation, that plastic insulation, which can break down and melt and cause your wiring to go bad as well. As you would have seen there, the crankshaft sensor plug as well, which connects to that junction box electronics, is very flimsy, and that's probably from when someone before has took it out and just yanked it out and obviously bent the plug, and they've tried to pull it back whatever way they actually could. You know, it is working, it hasn't given me any issues, but if it does, I will have to resolder another plug onto that connector to make the crankshaft sensor actually work. But I hope if you are having any issues, especially no crank, no start issues, or you do get mixed up on the plugs, this video will help guide you and help you get your N52 back running. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'm very proud to say I was the first to actually do this video, especially guiding you through all the connectors and where they actually go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.